Welcome to the Inspiring Coaches Show, the podcast devoted to inspiring coaches to bring their professional dreams to life by revealing the knowledge, insights, and best practices of other inspiring coaches. I'm your host, Jen Anderson, Master Certified Coach, early settler of the coaching industry, lover of all things coaching, and what coaching is doing to make the world a better place. All right. Well, hello out there. As you all know by now, I love to start every coaching session and everything I do as a coach with a celebration. So I ask my clients what we can celebrate from their life. And it's kind of fun to see how it provides just kind of an instant shift out of whatever they've brought into the coaching room and an opportunity to acknowledge their strengths and what's making them happy in their life. So this week, our celebration is coming from a coach in the US. Her name is Kay Epps. And Kay actually provided our celebration last time because she was an almost PCC coach. She still needed to take the coach credentialing exam through the ICF. And so I'm celebrating Kay this month because she took the exam, she passed, and now she's a full-fledged PCC. So congratulations, Kay. It really is a major milestone for any coach to strive and reach out to those higher achievements, and a testament to your commitment to really being a powerful coach in the world. So congratulations, Kay. And I'd like to invite you, dear listener, to go ahead and send in a celebration that we can use in our future episodes of the podcast. So anything that's going well in your coaching experience would be wonderful to share with our listeners. We're always looking for inspiring moments in the coaching pathway. And so please send me 2 or 3 sentences about what's going well in your coaching business, and you'll be featured in an upcoming episode of the podcast. You can send that into Jennifer at coachingoutofthebox.com, and I'll look forward to celebrating you. Well, today our guest coach is Pablo Leites, who is going to be sharing his perspectives on the future of coaching. Pablo is the president of the International Coaching Group, who actually also happens to be the sponsor for the Inspiring Coaches Show. So to get you centered on today's topic, here's a quote for you to consider. And this is actually taken directly from the ICG website. Wouldn't the world be a better place if everyone had coaching skills? So I'll leave you to ponder that bit of wisdom, and we'll take a quick break to hear from our inspiring sponsor, and then we'll be right back with Pablo.
Hey there, leaders! Are you ready to turn those tough conversations into purposeful and productive ones that drive real growth? I'm thrilled to introduce you to our Coach Approach to Leadership series. This is where you can learn the skills to communicate effectively, be heard, and make lasting, positive changes in your business. Imagine a conversation where you feel confident in what to ask, you truly listen, and you provide feedback that motivates action. That's exactly what we'll work on together in this program. Got questions? No worries, our enrollment coaches are here to support you every step of the way. Book a call with us today and discover how to transform your conversations and your leadership style. It's time to inspire growth, build real trust, and turn every interaction into a powerful, productive experience.
Welcome back. And as a quick reminder, today we're being inspired by our guest, Pablo Leites, with his thoughts as the president of the ICF accredited coach training program on the future of coaching. So welcome, Pablo.
Hi, nice to meet you. Nice to see you again, Jen.
Yes, we've had the luxury of getting to work together off and on here and there for the last couple of years since you came on in this role. And it's been just really, I have to say, Pablo, it's really been lovely working with you. I find that you bring a really positive, can-do kind of attitude, and you're curious and everything you would want a coach to be. That's my experience of working with you. So I wanted to share that with you.
Thank you, Jen. That's very kind. Appreciate that.
Well, absolutely. So you've been the leader of a coach training program provider for about 2.5 years now. And I'm curious, Pablo, what brought you to the point of wanting to take on this challenge?
Thanks, Jen. Good question. A lot of it's destiny, I believe. my background is very much in, so I go back to 2008 or so when I took a course in counseling. So I wanted to become a counselor and do counseling as a full practice and as a full kind of business. And I strayed away from that because I've always been interested in business. I've always been curious about how things work. So that pulled me away into different ventures in my life. And so to make a long story short, what happened in 2022 is when we met Alison Hendren, who is the founder and of the International Coaching Group, or Coaching Out of the Box. And by pure destiny, we met her, and she was tired. She wanted to spend more time traveling. She loves going to Mexico for half her time. So it was by pure destiny that we came across Alison Hendren, and we kind of started a conversation. And she felt that both my business partner and I were the right people to kind of follow on her footsteps and take her legacy to the next level. And so that's how it happened. So it was very much by pure dynamics of being in the right place at the right time, really.
And I think that in and of itself is really inspiring, Pablo, to be honest, because I think, a lot of times people feel like they have to make something happen. And certainly there's moments in life where you do have to take inspired action in order to see movement and inspired results. And you're introducing that notion that there is maybe some fate, maybe some destiny involved in being in the right place at the right time. So what inspires you most, Pablo, when you think about the future of coaching? Because I know that we've had conversations, I've been a part of conversations where you've talked about where things are going in the world of coaching. So what do you think is most inspiring about the future of coaching right now?
It's a deep question, but I can say this from my experience in the counseling world and learning about how to truly listen and be present in listening in a conversation. This goes way back into 2008 or so, and how that experience changed me in a way where, from that moment on to today, everything I do is based on that connect. It's building that connection around a deeper understanding, a deeper presence with somebody that's across, like you and I right now. And so it's really interesting from that evolution of then to now, over 10 years ago or so. And now we're seeing this huge boom in the coaching industry. It's been happening now over a decade or so. And so to your question, the future for me is really exciting in the sense that I'm seeing acceptance of coaching, of the coaching skills and the coaching practice more and more in places where I never would have thought they would be accepted. And that's a lot in the corporate world, for example, right? Where, and if I give a specific example, which really excites me, is a client of ours, which is in the US military. It's a US military branch that you may have not been exposed to, but they are putting a lot of people through our program right now, which to me is the testament of that whole industry is about health. You don't stop to question. You don't stop to the ask. I don't see a general saying, hey, to a soldier saying, hey, can you please go and into battle and let me know how that goes. Usually it's a very much, you go into battle, you do this as I say, you don't question my command, right? So the fact that an industry such as, one of the branches is coming and putting people through the coaching programs is really interesting to me, very interesting. That means when that level of let's say there's a lot of structure around the military that you cannot question, but now they're flexible and they're opening up to a potential way of communicating in a different way. That to me is an impact that I would never expect. And that tells me there's a massive acceptance of coaching in the world.
Mm-hmm. It is so interesting to think about because I actually grew up in a military family. And, my father was actually one of the best coaches who was never trained as a coach that I've ever met. It was just his natural style, but there still was quite a bit of structure in my family. I mean, it was 7 kids. So to survive, I think my parents had to have a certain amount of structure in place. But he did. He was very much about asking questions, but there were times where it was more of a tell model. You
Mhm.
had to be ready for church 5 minutes before we were supposed to leave for church, or
Or
there was a problem there. Um, so, and this may be something you haven't considered before, but what do you think that fundamental shift may have been in awareness that brought an organization like a military group to wanting to embrace coaching?
um, I think this is coming from an area of this specific uh, branch of the U.S. Army that this person sees the value, can see the impact, the
Mm,
positive impact that can have, and somehow they experienced it at some level, right? And
uh-huh.
that's where I'm seeing where at some point there was a shift around, oh wow, what if we shifted versus this way of doing things for centuries, versus to now going into, or decades I should say, now into now of what if there's a different way and can it be better?
Mm,
So I believe that the reason the shift is happening is because they're seeing value in it. Otherwise, why would they even contemplate it? Right?
mhm, mhm. Well, and I also hearing in your story that one person having that experience, you can, it's like kind of like dominoes, right? One person having that experience, you knock down that lead domino, and a lot of things fall into place afterwards. And I think that, we're trying to inspire people with this show, and I think it's inspiring to consider that any energy put into offering coaching can lead to some pretty unexpected opportunities and growth for certainly for individuals in their own business, but for the coaching industry as a whole, and making that impact. One person can really make a change, make a
Mhm.
difference. Yeah.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
And I think, especially in the corporate world and in that, uh, at that level, which is now the military or the government, um, even the word coaching has a bit of a, there's a resistance to it. Let's just call it like that, versus leadership training or
Right.
right, just because it's related in a certain manner. That's how it's kind of come up through the ranks. But I feel that there's more accept now that at those higher levels, as they're experiencing the value and the change, they are now allowing it because this has to come from a person that has the power to allow it through. It has to, otherwise it wouldn't happen, right?
Hmm.
So those people are seeing the value, saying, you know what, let's give this a shot. Maybe it's something different.
Hmm. Yep. It comes down to value, and to invest the time, the money, all the different things that you invest in something, the value has to be there. Um, yeah, very interesting. Which says a lot about uh, the program that ICG is offering, that you're leading, that the value is there, and so they are continuing and bringing more and more people into it. So that's really exciting.
Mhm.
Any other trends, things that you're seeing that you're thinking this is a great direction for the future of coaching?
Yeah, I mean, lots. I One of the things is obviously the ICF certification. That whole piece is so important these days. It's bringing that oversight to the industry, which I feel is important. Of there's unfortunately or fortunately a lot of the coaching um, kind of setback has been around the lack of regulation and people not feeling that there is. If you think about a counselor or an engineer, for example, there's an oversight around that gives some protection to the public, right? And I feel that that's an important piece that's becoming more and more accepted. Obviously, the ICF has become kind of the leading organization these days, but there's others.
Mhm.
And just the fact that that's growing and that we're allowing that to happen and that we're seeing the value and we are, people are placing the value in that, I think is important. And we see it more on the corporate side where they're asking for that. They're saying, hey, make sure you send me somebody that's certified, right? And
Yeah.
and we're now getting coaches that have been coaching for years. They're coming saying, you know what, I've been coaching for years. I just need my certification now because now my clients are asking for this, right?
Mhm.
So I see that as also exciting. I know it's a bit of a pain, but it's like anything else. There's, and I know you kind of just went through some of this in January, but isn't that there's something to it? I think there's that piece around having that external oversight that says, hey, we're looking after you somehow.
Mhm. Oh, it protects everyone. That's whether it's the coach or the sponsoring organization, the clients, everyone gets protected when they're and the right amount of oversight, I think, is really important too. And to acknowledge that, with 30 years or so, 35 years maybe, the coaching industry has been around. And when I came in, the ICF was about 4 years old, and did not have the reach and was really considered to be an advocacy group. And when I think about how far it's come in that amount of years, and one of the things that I think is most exciting, and I wanted to touch on this because I know that ICG has an offering around this, which is diversity, equity, and inclusion. The real emphasis on the importance of coaching reaching greater and greater numbers of people in terms of diversity, and also being pushed down so that it's not something that's elitist and sitting just at the top of organizations, but it being something that's available to everyone within an organization. And any thoughts around that trend that you can share?
So we've experienced it in two ways. One is during the pandemic, or just after the pandemic, we saw a big surge around the diversity and inclusion kind of push and having more inclusive, more that be more aware of the conversations that are happening, be more aware of the different paths that everybody wants to take. And so there was a big push around that, and we built a course around it, and we've got Patty, who's a magnificent facilitator of this course, as you know. But interesting enough, what we're seeing is a bit of for me. It became it became a bit of a fad, and it's kind of slowed down a little bit, and it's becoming more. Yeah.
I'm sorry, what part of it has become a fad?
I guess we saw a lot of people interested in wanting to take the specific course for the first year or so. And then we saw it die down, and we were like, well, what's happening?
Yeah.
And I think it was more, I don't know if I want to say it's a fad, but it was just the interest level that was there.
Yeah.
That has died down a little bit. And I think it just kind of normalized itself now. What we're seeing now is the people or the organizations that are coming for this course are more serious, I should say, around really fine-tuning their skills, because the diversity course we have is more around, it's actually designed for coaches that really want to learn how do they bring in that diversity inclusion conversation into their coaching practice. They're actually coaching. So that's what I call it. I don't know if it's fad, but almost like a it was a push around a certain interest, and I've seen it slow down, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, I'm totally understanding now. I'm glad, because that word fad caught me, as you could see.
Yeah.
I'm if not committed to exploring, what's behind the choice of a certain word. And yes. So, but I think that, as you said, there's a natural cycle to things like this. They come into the awareness, something new, people get kind of excited by it, and then perhaps the people who aren't truly invested in it maybe filter away. And then, as you said, you're left with the people who, for them, it's not just an idea, a concept. It's something that they really want to engage with and employ.
Right. So when I say about a fad is we're seeing that there's a different level of seriousness to the course. Even the quality of people that were going through the course then and now, it's very different. Very different.
Mhm.
The people that we see now are truly committed to, we really want to do this. Whereas before it was more like, hey, everybody else is doing it, I should do it, type of thing.
Mhm. Mhm. And we see trends, what the focus is. So, just as an example, Brene Brown's work with vulnerability was something that coaches just really jumped on board with. And it seemed like every coach I was talking to at that time was taking her program, which is wonderful. And, it seems like things kind of come and go in terms of people being excited about it, popular. But I think there's a difference with this, the diversity and inclusion, in that at least I hope that there's an anchor into it, that we're not just looking at it as, oh, this is something that would be good to really be focusing on and
100%.
paying attention to it starting to become, it's just a matter of course. This is who we are and how we do things. I certainly hope the coaching profession is in that space more so.
I agree. I agree 100%. And
Yeah.
that's what I like about Patty's course is that she makes it very obvious. She brings she shines a light in it, which is I
Mhm.
think
Yes.
very, very well done.
Yes. Oh, I agree. 100%. Yes. Brene, amazing. And lots of other leaders that show up in events, whether it's the ICF or other organizations around the globe that are bringing new concepts, new ideas. And we need those initial thought leaders to raise that awareness. And for the coaches, our listeners, to be able to choose for themselves, hey, this is where I want to go deeper, right? Take that deeper dive.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's why I wanted to bring you on, is because I know you have that higher level looking at things. You were going to say
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. Like I said, talking a little bit with Patty and hearing her is we seem as coaches to tiptoe around something we're not comfortable with, right?
Mhm.
And that's what I liked about that piece is around, it's okay to say, hey, I don't know how to address this.
Right.
Can we be completely honest here and just be, what's the best way to address? I'm feeling uncomfortable here. How do we close the gap, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Versus trying to not, like I said, walking on eggshells type of thing.
Yes. Yes. And transparency. I mean, that is something that we strive for. It's in our code of ethics and standards through the ICF, that we are transparent, and I'm grateful for that, to be honest with you, because the eggshells thing takes a lot of energy.
Huge, huge.
Yeah, it really does. So, so Paul, what do you think, or if you were going to say there's something that you wish all coaches knew about the role they could play in shaping the future of coaching, what would you share?
Sorry, you cut out there for a second, Jen.
Oh,
Can
did
you?
I? Apologize
Yeah.
for that. So I'm thinking about coaches who are wondering what role they could play in shaping the future of coaching. So I'm wondering what thoughts you have there.
What role they can play in shaping the. Hmm. Um, I mean, for us here at the International Coaching Group, is about getting as many people to have the skills as possible. And I believe that the more people have the skills to communicate better, how can it not be a better world? Period. Everything is. To share a brief meeting that we had this morning was about that. It was simple conversations that we needed to have a while ago that we weren't having.
Mm.
And that by having that conversation in 20 minutes, things changed. The whole atmosphere in an issue we were having changed completely. And having those skills can really benefit us as a human. I even think about, way higher levels at the level of huge conflicts, and having those somehow the ability to, instead of sitting in this is my belief and this is the way it should be, versus being open to listening to a different perspective, right? Just that simple. And so that question is around how how can the coaches not just be in their business doing the coaching? How can we actually pass that on? And I know it's a little bit idealistic, but what else can we do as a community to teach people just the simplest of, it could be potentially just listening skills. So what is our little grain of salt that we can give that will land with that person that has no interest in coaching or doesn't understand it? They can walk away with one little piece and they're like, oh, that's interesting, right?
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
It does make sense. And I'm thinking of a time many years ago now where I'd been coaching for a few years, and I was having a conversation with my sister. We were sitting out on her back deck with a glass of wine. It was a Friday night, and just talking. And she stopped me at one point. She said, "Wow, you are the best listener I have ever encountered." And I just kind of took me by surprise, honestly, because we were siblings and had our
Mhm.
day, right, when we were young. And but I looked at that, I said, okay, it's full integration now. This is just who I am, these coaching skills, and this is a great way to be in the world. So I
Mhm.
think, coaches, we have this opportunity to role model, which really brings me back to the quote, which is, wouldn't the world be a better place if everyone had coaching skills? So if we're modeling it and people ask us about it, we can talk about it.
Mhm. 100%.
Yeah.
That's where the I know I talked to Lorraine and some of the coaches in this around that it becomes a way of being. It's not,
Yeah.
it's not that you're a coach. You're that being now. It's not, there's no difference. It's not like I switch on and I'm a coach now and I'm not, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And there aren't many professions where that's really the truth. This is a style of communication. It's a way of seeing the world, being in the world, right? Versus a profession. Yeah. I'm so glad you brought that into this, Pablo, because I think it's a game changer when people really understand that and embrace it. And I've always said, no matter what, even if you don't choose to call yourself a coach, hang a shingle and purvey your services as a coach, you are going to learn to be a better communicator with everyone in your life if you get coach training. Your life will be exponentially better and you will grow. It's kind of a side effect of our profession, is that you grow. And even in the coach training, you grow, you learn about yourself, you do better.
100%.
Yeah. So I really want to thank you for taking a leadership role in our industry in this way. I have tremendous respect for you, and I'm really grateful that I've been able to be a part of the changes and the growth that have been happening around the organization. And at the risk of seeming self-serving, since you're my sponsor of the podcast, I truly mean it from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate your leadership within all of this.
Thank you for that, Jenny. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. If
Mhm.
listeners want to connect with you and continue this conversation or some part of the conversation, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
Email is the best,
Yeah.
and that's Pablo at cotbx.com.
Oh, you shorten it. I should shorten it maybe, huh?
You have to
COTBX.
show me 100%.
There you go. It is a mouthful to say at coachingoutofthebox.com, I have to say.
Easy to remember.
It is easier. Yeah, really easy to remember. Well, we're going to take a quick break. And if you can stay for just a second, Pablo. And when we come back, I'm going to share with everyone how they can become a guest on the Inspiring Coaches Show.
Hello, listeners. This is a special message from the International Coaching Group. We're thrilled to have you with us today on the Inspiring Coaches Show. If you're in search of an ICF accredited coach educator, look no further. Our flagship 555 coaching skills training program has been taught to over 45,000 people in over 38 countries. Additionally, our signature Fast Track to ICF credential program has been a key reason why both individuals and corporations choose the International Coaching Group to support their coaching skills, training, and coaching journeys. Ready to take the next step? Visit www.coachingoutofthebox.com to learn more or schedule a call with one of our enrollment coaches. We're here to support you every step of the way. Don't wait, start your coaching journey today.
Welcome back. So, the Inspiring Coaches Show is always looking for guests who will be wonderful to talk to and provide inspiration to our listeners. So, if you're interested in joining me on the show, please send, now I can use a shortened email address. Please send an email to Jennifer at cotbx.com and include your topic idea and a short blurb on how you think it will inspire coaches to bring their professional dreams to life. Well, as we all know, inspired coaches believe in expressing gratitude. So thank you once again, Pablo, for being here with us today. And thank you to our sponsor, the International Coaching Group. And most of all, thank you to you, dear coach listeners, for committing yourself to seeking inspiration. Don't forget to subscribe, by the way, to the podcast so you don't miss an episode. We always have wonderful guests. But we know that you really are here because you want to bring your coaching dreams to life and you get inspired by hearing what others are doing. So until next time, I'm Jen Anderson, MCC, and this is the Inspiring Coaches Show.